Well, welcome to our introduction on realtor success and failure. This is the introduction. My name is Steve Wagner. Been doing this crazy business for 31 years, and I was able to pick a lot of people's brains over the course of the 31 years. I've worked with thousands of agents, learned a lot of things that cause success and that cause failure. And this is my opportunity to deliver this information to pass it along, and that's what I'd like to do here. So virtual properties has always been about a culture of success. This we feel like is going to help us maintain that legacy, because if we can teach our agents the elements that cause success, and we're that much better off as a company. Now, the keys to success, there's a lot of terms. You can see them there: growth, team, innovation, vision, influence, strategy, work, motivation. There's so many terms for success. We're going to do our own terms, and this is going to be applicable, we know, into the southeast of the United States. Not sure how it would be in the western region of the United States, but we know that this is totally applicable to launching your career here and now, 2020, escaping from failure to success, avoiding what we call the failure to launch syndrome. And let's start off with two of the greatest quotes of all time as those quotes pertain to success. According to Jim Rohn, who might be the greatest mentor of all time, speaker of all time on the topic, he says successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. The key word, will. Don't wish it were easier, wish it were better. The harder it is, the less likely other people are going to join you in that mission. So definitely don't wish it was easier. Make yourself better. Use discipline and initiative to follow through and do things that 90% of the people will not do. The other great quote is, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, well, you'll find an excuse. And I hear these excuses all the time. The proverbial dog ate my homework. That is the excuse. There's different lines for realtors, but we hear those types of excuses all the time. And we do know that 87%, according to the National Association of Realtors, 87% of the people who try to get in this business, well, they end up failing. They're out of the business within 5 years. This is a collection of insights, impactors, things, attributes that ultimately cause success or failure, depends on which angle you're looking at them from. Thing to remember is that we have so many guides. So go to VPR Central and look at our main guides. You'll find more guides than you possibly have the time to watch. You cannot say that you don't have the knowledge. See, real estate agents fail because they either don't know what to do, or they do know what to do and they're just not doing it. Well, we're going to take away both. But first, I want to make sure you know that if you go to all our guides, and not to mention we have 500 classes a year, and we have 9 full-time brokers, there's no way you can say that I don't know what to do. We'll work on the second part, the fact that you might know what to do, and for whatever reason you're not doing it. We'll work on that later. But just understand that you have all these guides, and please take advantage of them. Now, some of them are works in progress. I'll even put the chapters, the content that we are creating, just so you know what's coming, and that's why I would put it on there. But there's if it's blue like that, it means that there is a hyperlink and it connects to some kind of content. We've got many pages all over this whole VPR Central. You're not suffering from a lack of knowledge. Again, what we'll hear over and over again, a common theme, is that the majority of realtors' challenges are on the inside rather than on the outside. Now, you interview most realtors, their obsession is it's all on the outside. And we understand why that is, because they want the spotlight off of them, the responsibility, the accountability spotlight off of them, and they want to shine it somewhere else. They want the spotlight of blame off of them, and they would like to spotlight that blame somewhere else. So The thing to remember is a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, I don't want to watch those videos. It's just nothing but motivation. It's just a bunch of psycho, whatever." I've heard everything. Well, I'll tell you, Zig Ziglar knows this very well. He says people often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. If you really want to know why, what separates, and I don't think people get this, as to what really separates the 10% of the people that do 90% of the production versus the 90% of the people that only do 10% of the production. What separates them is they take responsibility for their mind and emotions. And it's kind of like a golf, anybody that's good at anything, whether it's golf, tennis, playing the piano, they know they have to constantly drill on that. They have to practice, they do repetition. Well, having a productive mind and emotions is the same way. We are planting seeds and we are fertilizing our insides. We're taking control of our insides. Otherwise, we're just reactionary. We don't know where some of these feelings and things come from. So we're taking the responsibility. So I recommend that you watch these videos over and over and other stuff, whatever you can do. We'll have book reviews on here, and we're going to we're always going to be talking about things we can be feeding our mind, because when we put seeds into our brain, whatever comes into our brain, it's kind of like you are what you eat. You are what you consume. You consume information or ideas or concepts in your brain, and there's always emotions attached to that. So we are trying to shape that. We realize by now that we have the ability, I think the quote is the greatest discovery in our generation in the last century, is that we actually can change our attitudes, and when we change our attitudes, we change our life. So this is the structure of this 5-part series. Each one of them are going to represent 10 elements. I'm going to have some other introductory concepts before we get to the 10 elements. I'll probably close with a couple of concepts, but each video, each class focuses on 10 elements. So then we have some other areas, like I said, book reviews. I want to be interviewing some of the top agents around, and that's going to be enjoyable. So the big questions: what is success? That's the number one question. What is success? We'll talk about that. Well, to most, it's survival, because you remember only 13% actually survive, and we even doubt that number, because some of those people, you kind of look into it a little deeper and you go, these people are not, they're not successful, but they have probably survived in the industry per se. And then you really don't want to just survive to be successful. You want to thrive. You want to be fulfilling your purpose, or alignment of your purpose. You want to maintain harmony or balance in your life. You want to grow, because they say that your level of happiness has a lot to do with how you're progressing and growing and improving. And if you're progressing and growing and improving, it's very hard to be unhappy. The other thing, by the way, it's not on here, is gratitude. If you can learn how to be grateful, and that is a skill, by the way, that is a habit, whether you're grateful or ungrateful. I think we have a very ungrateful society now. If you look at our politics, it just seems like people are angry and they want change. Like, hey, look, we live in one of the greatest civilizations that has ever been constructed. Yeah, you can sit there and pick it apart all day long. Why don't you just sit back and enjoy the ride a little bit and try to maximize the opportunity you have? But that's not how we are. We have been trained to be unhappy people as well. And so this is going to affect you in business as well. So you got to maintain your health, because if you have everything else going and you are a basket case physically, okay, you're just, none of that really matters. So it really comes down to that. And then joy, one can say happiness. I'll say if you're not happy, you're not successful. But the point is that you got to remember, a lot of happiness, not all of it. Sometimes people say this in absolute, but a lot of happiness is a decision. And then you always want to try to have hope and faith and those types of things. The true answer is only you can define what success is to you, and you should define it for yourself. So, but the key thing is, in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey says people spend their whole lives climbing what they believe to be the ladder of success. only to find out once they reach the top, the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. So the point is, a lot of times we're going after success and we really haven't even done soul searching on what really does make us happy right now. And maybe we investigate what really makes us happy, and then we say, no, I'm not happy with that. What should, you need to do a blend of what naturally does make you happy now, and maybe what should make you happy. And then you got to go to work on making sure that should make you happy does make you happy. I hope this is making sense to you. So, what is success? Well, the greatest discovery, here, that quote is here. And our generation, and probably the last century, maybe of all time, is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes. You get a new mindset, you plant new seeds that actually take root in there, and then you get new results throughout your life. And again, Stephen Covey talks about the inside out approach. Says if you want to have a happy marriage, be a kind person who generates positive energy and sidesteps negative energy rather than empowering it. If you want to have a more pleasant, cooperative teenager, be more understanding, empathetic, consistent, loving parent. If you want to have more freedom, more latitude in your job, be more responsible, be a more helpful, more contributing employee. If you want to be trusted, be trustworthy. If you want the secondary greatness of recognized talent, focus on the first of the primary greatness of character. So I guess that's an excerpt of his book, and he's talking about the inside out approach there. Inside out means to start first with self, your insides. Even more fundamentally, start with the most inside part of yourself, with your paradigms. And that's how you view things, your character, your motives. See, a lot of times we don't really want to know ourselves. We're just operating on emotion. We don't even know where it comes from. Somebody's influence, something's gotten in there. So this other thing to remember is your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. Whatever goes in there is going to grow according to what it is when it came in there. So we've got to be mindful. We've got to guard what goes in there, and we've got to proactively plant healthy seeds. So that's the thing to think about, a new way of looking at life. And it's hard to go against seeds that have planted in there a long time ago. Your thoughts are seeds, and the harvest you will reap will depend on the seeds you plant. So be careful what seeds you allow to root in the garden of your heart or mind. Not all seeds bear good fruit. The toughest battle you'll ever fight is the battle within yourself. So what is success? Again, you're the only one that can answer it. But you need to answer that, and I don't recommend you spend 3 months trying to answer success. You can kind of tweak it along the way, but I do recommend you spend some time soul searching. Alice in Wonderland, really brilliant part of the whole book there. Alice would walking down the path, lost, fell down into the Wonderland there, and then he meets the Cheshire Cat. Is, will you tell me, please, which way should I go from here? The cat goes, well, that depends a good deal on where you want to get to. And she says, I don't care much, because then it doesn't matter which way you go. And so that's, think about that for a second, because that pretty much says it all. If you don't care, if you don't really have a plan, then what difference does it make? So we need to come up with your true why, and then if you want to be a better person than you are today, you have to change your whys. You have to go to town. You can't change a snap of a finger, but know what your natural whys are, what your real whys are, and then start realizing what your real whys ought to be. Again, you want to start climbing the ladder of success and make sure it's leaning on the correct wall. And that, this whole 7 habits begin with the end in mind. That's habit 2. And then I always felt like they should switch habit 1 and habit 2, but then you be proactive and executing or walking that path. Put first things first. That means priority, and then look at the other things there. We're going to do a book review on this, and I'm looking forward to that. There are some books out there that know your why. The other one came out, was called Start With your why, start with why, or find your why was the second uh, version of that. But we've got to know what success is to you, and maybe if you keep watching these videos, you'll be able to construct it a little bit more. I always quote about every one of these, the Matrix. They've got the Latin up there, and it basically means know thyself. If you know Latin, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it means know thyself. And it said, do you think you're the one, when he's talking about the kind of the prophet, the Messiah, almost in the Matrix? What do they call him? The chosen one. Is he, honestly, I don't know. And then the oracle says, you know what that sign means? It's Latin. It means know thyself. I'm going to let you in on a secret. Being the one is just like being in love. No one can tell you you're in love. You just know it through and through, balls to bones. So the point of the matter is that you know yourself, you know what motivates you, but also take a look at what should motivate you. Success follows when you define what inspires you, motivates you, and fires you up. What's your why? When your why is big enough, you'll find your how. The how just comes. Only when you know your why will you find the courage to take the risk needed to get ahead. Stay motivated when the chips are down and move your life onto an entirely new, more challenging, and more rewarding trajectory. Again, you got to know your why, because just like Alice in Wonderland, if she didn't know where she's going, it really doesn't matter. And that's what most people live out their lives. They don't even know their why. They don't even know themselves, and they don't have any goals or plans, and so therefore they're drifters. When you know your why, you can endure any how. That's Viktor Frankl. And then the thing to remember is this. That's one of my favorite quotes of all time by St. Augustine. People travel to wonder at the height of the mountains, at the huge waves of the seas, at the long course of the rivers, at the vast compass of the ocean, at the circular motion of the stars, and yet they pass themselves without wondering. It's amazing. Again, we're looking up at the stars. We have so much curiosity and amazement, but we pass ourselves and we don't even wonder. We don't even know what our whys are. We don't even know why we act. And we don't even stop to say, should I be acting why we act? And that's most of us. Stephen Covey with Hiram Smith and forward by Ken Blanchard, the book, really more written from Hiram Smith, who invented the Covey day planner model. What Matters Most, great book. How different our lives are when we really know what's deeply important to us, and keeping that picture in mind. We manage ourselves each day to be and to do what really matters most. That's Stephen Covey. So yeah, go in there and visualize and define what success is for 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Now again, I want to impress upon this point again, when we're kind of setting our vision, beginning with the end in mind. Understand, a lot of times our emotions, we say, oh, my wife's important, my kids are important, this is important, that's my health's important. But then we realize that we've got these bizarre feelings that take us away from all that stuff. And then that's what we say is our highest priority, but something programming inside is saying just the opposite. And we have a lot of internal conflicts of what we know to be true, what we should be doing, but what somehow the data has gotten in there, info has gotten in there, and it's kind of causing emotions to go on. So why components? We talk about the present, the near future, the distant future, your natural why, your should why, pleasing others. These are all things that create your why and where you want to go. So your homework, fully understand what success truly means to you. 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, all that. Fully understand why, your why, and this will equal success. Begin your ends in mind. Then create a chronological vision boards. So if you start putting pictures of what really matters most, that will empower you to take the necessary actions to get the job done. If you put all these things in there and you're not doing what it takes, then You need to further investigate yourself to figure out you obviously don't even know yourself, and there are other motivating factors. And then have the courage to dive deep inside and understand what they are. We'll worry about hows later, but a lot of times that helps. So you will be battling yourself. Remember the thing about the two wolves. There's one that's evil, one that's good. It's one that's angry, that has envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, all those undesirable traits on the left. Look on the right, it's joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity. Which one are you? Which one wins? Which one is the dominant one? It's the one you feed. Okay, so just remember that. The one you feed, the one you focus on. That is the one, that's who you truly are. Well, this is an introduction to 50 things that cause realtors to succeed and fail. Seize the day, seize the moment, and please watch. It says the second. I think you most likely be watching the first one. So, but that's all, folks. Go watch the first 10 influencers, then go to second, third, fourth, and fifth. Thank you very much.